Alright, hi everyone, it's Fam back here again for MTGOntario and possibly ManaDeprived.com if this video happens to find its way there. But I am back from my trip, and I first off would like to apologize for the fact that I wasn't really posting anything on the YouTube channel while I was abroad, even though I said I would. Suffice it to say, I found it very difficult to find time to sit down in front of my computer and record some videos while I was abroad because, well, a lot of different things have come up, like sightseeing and whatnot. And you can imagine that certain things took priority in my life over Magic Online, and I really haven't been playing any Magic Online over the last 2 months because of what has been going on. In fact, it's really mostly only been real life testing while I was there. So I kind of want to just keep this video nice and short, coupled together with this deck feature here, just because it's just a little bit of an announcement. So I just want to make it a few minutes long. The tournaments that I was planning to go to while I was there was PT and Grand Prix Paris, Grand Prix Hamburg, Grand Prix Kobe, and Grand Prix Nagoya. As many of you might already know, GP Hamburg and GP Kobe were cancelled and rescheduled respectively due to unforeseen circumstances. Well, in the case of Hamburg, it was actually foreseen, but it was just a blunder under Wizards' parts. And it was cancelled due to anti-gambling laws in Germany, and they chose not to reschedule it. And GP Kobe was rescheduled to the end of April due to the earthquake and the tsunami that happened a week before the scheduled Grand Prix date. And Wizards found that it probably wasn't in best taste to continue on with the Grand Prix as planned. So unfortunately for me, I was only able to play one other Grand Prix after Paris, which was Barcelona. My long-term goals going into this trip was to qualify for Pro Tour Nagoya and stay on the Pro Tour circuit as long as I could, while attending all these tournaments that would feed Pro Tour Nagoya. So having a dismal showing at Paris sort of put me in the dumps with all the cancellations happening, but Grand Prix Barcelona was my last shot, and I got there, thankfully. With this deck that you see in front of you. This deck is the Boros deck that I sleeved up for Grand Prix Barcelona, and it's pretty much a stock list with a few changes here and there. I was rooming with 3 Czech players, Martin Juza, Lucas Blohon, and Peter Sotrek, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing those names correctly because I don't know how to speak Czech. But I was also rooming with Shuhei Nakamura as well, up until from even before Barcelona in Kobe up until that point. But we were testing extended up until the week beforehand, and then we decided to scramble together and throw some constructed decks at each other. This list that we came up with was pretty much just some rough testing, but we found that Koth of the Hammer was a very solid card in the metagame, and we initially started testing with 3 to 4 of them, but found that it was a little heavy on the top end, and we didn't like the clunky hands where we drew more than one of them. So we ended up cutting it down to 2, but we still needed something in that slot to sort of combat Cobblade as well. So we decided to keep with the Hero of Oxid Ridge. We originally didn't like them that much because they were really clunky against other matchups, so we didn't want more than a couple of them. I ended up playing one of them. I was also testing like a heavy removal suite with Arc Trails featured here as well, but that ended up getting cut. And Mirror Crusader replaced the last Arc Trail that was in that slot. Otherwise, we went with Journey to Nowhere as other removals other than Lightning Bolt because it was a good answer to Titan-based decks in the first game. And pretty much that's the standard list. Otherwise, the removal is what it is, and the equipment is what it is. Some players I know opted to cut the second Adventuring Gear. I won a lot of my games because I naturally drew Adventuring Gear without having to search for it with Stoneforge Mystic, and I found that that was probably correct to keep it in. But I can also see why you would take it out, because I found myself boarding it out a lot in favor of other cards coming out of the sideboard. As for the mana base, it's pretty much exactly the same as most stock lists, except I changed the third Terramorphic Expanse for a second Teetering Peaks, because I found that with Mark of Mutiny in the sideboard and opting to play 3 of them, having double Teetering Peaks can automatically win you the game off a Primeval Titan. So that was one of the changes that we chose to make, and I think that one in particular was thanks to Peter. Looking at the sideboard, it is pretty much the same as most stock lists that you'll see on Magic Online or Star City Games, but I just played around with the numbers a little bit. It seemed like 3 to 4 Cunning Spark Mages seemed standard. I chose to play 3 as I wasn't really metagaming too hard against aggro-based decks. You also bring them in against Cobblade, but they're not absolutely necessary. I could also see people not playing with Manic Vandal and playing with Divine Offering instead. We chose to have the body as a better out to post Wrath, for example, whereas most of the time they would Wrath and still have their sword out and whatnot. And your Manic Vandal would not only take care of that, but give you some more gas to follow up a board sweeper. Otherwise, the rest of the cards are more or less standard. And yeah, that was my deck for Barcelona. And the video is kind of getting a little long now, so I want to end things quickly. And yeah, so I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen in the near future with this channel and with my videos, but I'll try to keep things updated. No promises though. I didn't want to promise you guys before, but I ended up doing that and ended up breaking my promise, so I'm sorry. But yeah, look out for me at PT Nagoya and other Canadians that will be there. And yeah, until next time. Alright everyone, it's Fam here again with another Scars of Mirrodin 8-4 draft. This is, I'm not sure, I think this is the first video that we're doing with Mirrodin Besieged. But yeah, so I just got back from my trip last Thursday, and I recorded an announcement video which will probably be tagged onto this video afterwards. No, probably beforehand, so me telling you this is probably relevant. Anyways, just waiting here for the queue to fill up and our draft to start. So, I'm not really sure how many of you guys feel about this format. I'm a little bit here and there about it. I think I like triple Scars of Mirrodin a little bit more, mainly because one of my favorite archetypes, Infect, was arguably a little bit better in triple Scars because it was faster. Losing a lot of the early drops in Scars of Mirrodin in favor of slower but more durable Infect creatures in Besieged can be a bad thing, but also a good thing. I've played Infect with Besieged as well, and it's not that bad either. I just feel that it's a little bit slower, not having access to as many Plague Stingers and whatnot. So, but as for other archetypes, I think it's a perfectly well-designed set, and I've seen a lot of non-artifact, non-infect strategies, which got a lot better with Besieged. For example, Dinosaurs. The green cards in Besieged help that strategy a lot more than Scars had just by itself. Anyways, starting this draft, we got a Hero Bladehold. Wow, okay, that's a really strong card on its own. It's probably the only card really worth considering here. Honorable mention to Mortarpod, which I really love myself. Sphere of the Suns is also pretty decent as well, but everything else is not that great. Fangren Marauder is probably the best green card in the pack, but I don't think that if I'm going to commit to a color, it's probably going to be Hero Bladehold here. There could be arguments said with the strategy of taking all the colorless cards until you have to commit to a color, but I don't see any reason not to commit to Hero Bladehold. It's just absolutely insane if you could just keep it on the board for a couple of turns. So I'm going to go with that. Okay, now we got some picks to make. We got Piston Sledge, which is one of my favorite equipments. Vidalcan Anatomist, which is a very, very solid card. It can just be absolutely board dominating if given enough time. And Burn the Impure and Blight Widow, Morbid Plunder. This pack is riddled with good things. The person to our right took the rare out of the pack, so we don't have much information to go on. I think that at this point, I want to take a card that best complements our strategy if we want to stick to Hero Bladehold. Now, there's no white card that we can take that will just clearly cut that off and keep us in white. So we got to either move into another color or stay with an artifact The only artifact really worth considering is Piston Sledge, because I believe it's just straight up better than Copper Carapace. Blight Widow doesn't really complement white that well, so that's I can take that out of the equation. So it's really either we want to play an aggressive style deck or a control-ish style deck with Avodak and Anatomist. I think I'm going to take the Burn the Impure here, as white-red usually complements each other a lot better than white-blue. And yeah, I like taking the removal spell there. This pack is fairly interesting. We got Phyrexian Juggernaut, which is a straight up just really solid card, and it pretty much goes into every deck. Blister Stick Shaman, Serum Raker, Gust Skimmer, and Master's Call are worth considering. Oh, also Copper Carapace. Flare Husk is alright as well. I think at this point my choices are between Phyrexian Juggernaut and Blister Stick Shaman. Master's Call is the white card that sort of keeps us in white, but I don't think it's that great, and it's something that probably will come back to us. Blister Stick Shaman is a straight up value card, and I find it's really good in this format. And Phyrexian Juggernaut, while it's very powerful, it also costs 6 and it's a little slow. With this sort of strategy, I kind of want to be really aggressive really quickly, and something like Blister Stick Shaman allows you to do that, and I'm going to go ahead and take that card here now. If we had taken the Anatomist last pack, I'd probably be open to taking the Serum Rakers, but we took what we took, and I'm continuing from there. This pack, we don't have too much to go on. Considering I passed the Anatomist and another Serum Raker, I'm probably going to pass this Serum Raker as well, and probably not opt to go blue at any point later in the draft. Seeing a Rot Wolf after passing all those Infect cards is a little daunting, because I wish I would moved into Infect, but there wasn't too much to go on. Like, I made my choice with Hero Bladehold, knowing fully that I probably wouldn't move into Infect anymore, but yeah, I'm not taking it at this point, just something to consider. Spiraling Duelist, I've never been happy with it, so I'm probably not considering it. It's pretty much down to Bladed Sentinels and Master's Call. Bladed Sentinels is something that definitely will come back later, so taking Master's Call complements Hero Bladehold, and I think it's fine overall, and it's a really great Metalcraft card, so taking that there. So here we got Divine Offering, Blister Stick Shaman, Skidwing, and a couple of other cards in our archetype. I've always been happy with Skidwing regardless of the circumstances. Blister Stick Shaman, again, another value card. I find myself very happy to see those guys in my deck. Divine Offering is a shatter for white, but in our archetype, I don't think it's too difficult to find shatters. So I could probably pass on a Divine Offering for now, although I'm not too happy about it. I think my choice comes down to Skinwing or Blister Stick Shaman. And I think Skinwing, especially with a Hero Bladehold in our deck, will pay off a lot more. And Skinwing is just a sweet value card, and I'm going to take that here right now. I don't feel too great about passing the Shaman, but what can you do? At this point, I'm not too thrilled with what's left in this pack, but I mean, it's several picks in, and I can't really be that picky. I think it's just between Flare's Husk, Banishment Decree, Silverskin Armor. Razorfield Rhino is alright, but it does cost a lot. I mean, 6 is not too unwieldy, but I like to try and keep the curve of this type of deck as low as possible. Something like Flare Husk is nice value. It keeps you metal crafted and is a guy at the same time, so I don't mind taking it here. I really don't like Silverskin Armor because it feels too heavy for really what it does, so I'm going to take the Flare Husk and move on. Well, we got another Divine Offering and another Blister Stick Shaman that came around to us, so this is really good for our archetype, the fact that these cards are coming around. So at this point, do we want to have what type of removal spell do we want? Or because Divine Offering will deal with most large threats, whereas Blister Stick Shaman is really good against small creatures and whatnot. So I think that for me, I'd rather take the creature-based pseudo removal spell here, and because I can find that Divine Offering most of the time is a dead card where you can always find a time to play Blister Stick Shaman. So I'm going to take that and hopefully be able to pick Shatters up in the next pack. In this pack, we don't have too much to go on, but Gore Vassal sort of follows with the Blister Stick Shaman plan, so I'm perfectly happy taking that. I don't really want to take another Flare Husk, and the Razorfield Rhino again is a little unwieldy. And the Banishment Decree, although can be really tricksy, it's still just a really overpriced excommunicate. So I'm going to go with the Gore Vassal here and move on. This pack doesn't have too much to go on. The Goblin War Driver is decent, but it's a little hard to cast at double red. Ardent Recruit is okay, but I've never had great success with it. Otherwise, we could take a Crush for the sideboard, but a 2-mana 2/2 is not the worst, and maybe we'll get lucky and be able to cast it on turn 2. So I think that's a little bit better than a 1-mana 1/1. So, take that. Well, see, now we had the option of taking that here and now, but I think I'm going to take the Koth Courier as a potential sideboard card. It might even make the main deck depending on what happens with our deck. This pack really has nothing for us. Kemba's Legion costs literally infinite, so I'm not going to consider that too much. It's probably a choice between hating a Flenser Might or an Unnatural Predation, and I'll probably just take the Flenser Might here because having to deal with Infect is not that great. The Blade Sentinel we were considering before has come back to us, and now we're going to pick it up. Rally the Forces isn't something that I really care about, but it's one card in our color that we might be able to play over Lead the Stampede, which I don't really care about. So I'll take that and just finish up this draft. I mean, this pack. I'm going to hide those cards and I'm going to cost sort. Well, there's an Argent Sphinx, unfortunately for us. We could take a blue card at this point, but considering all the blue cards we passed pack 1, I don't think that's going to be a good option for us because we're probably going to get cut real hard in this pack. So Argent Sphinx going the other way, don't really care about it, that's fine. So to us at this point, I think there's only about 3 cards that's really worth considering. Revoke Existence as a straight up removal spell. Palladium Mirror as a very solid artifact and guy in general. And Sylvok Lifestaff. I think the Lifestaff has the chance of coming back, so it's coming down to either the removal spell or the creature. And Revoke Existence, although very, very solid, I think there's like a higher chance of that coming around than a Palladium Mirror, obviously. And it's common, so we could probably pick up something of that sort anyways. So I'm going to take the Palladium Mirror here and hopefully aim to pick up another Revoke Existence or a Shatter or something like that. So in this pack, there's not too much to go on. It's either a Origin Spellbomb, one of the 2 Mana Mirrors, Barb Battle Gear maybe, Galma's Warden. There's not too much that I like out of this pack. Considering we have a couple of 4-drops that we want to get out there, I think that maybe one of the Mana Mirrors is okay. Origin Spellbomb, while very good, is not something I'd probably take over a Mirror at this point. If I had something like a Mirror Smith or an Ember Smith, I'd probably consider the Spellbomb a little bit higher. But I think taking a Mana Mirror at this point is perfectly acceptable. The question is which one, the black or the blue? If we were going to splash something, I don't think it would be black. Might be blue. It's really tough to say. I think blue, because if we open a Venser, we can splash it. So, sure. Okay, well, this pack is really interesting. There's a Nim Deathmantle and a Chromesteed and a Corpscur in this pack still. There's 2 uncommons missing, so this pack could have been really loaded depending on what's going on. But I'm really happy with Nim Deathmantle. I think it's a really solid card. Chromesteed, although very good, I mean, I think that we could probably put together a white-red Metalcraft deck, but I don't think I want to commit to that strategy right now. And I'm perfectly happy taking the Nim Deathmantle at this point. It's clearly the best equipment out of this pack. The other artifacts are not that great for us, and the Corpscur obviously is not our archetype. I'm just a little confused because I thought I was passing a rather solid blue signal to the left, which probably is why we don't see blue cards. But at the same time, I was also passing a bunch of Infect cards. So seeing a Corpscur at this point is a little surprising. But anyways, taking the Nim Deathmantle and moving on. At this point, I don't see... Ooh, never mind. There's an Oxidus Scrap Melter there. Okay, almost missed that one. There's a Scrap Melter, a Necropede, and a Tanglecord, a Wall of Tanglecord. All of which are reasonable, but the Oxidus Scrap Melter and the Necropede are both 2-for-1 cards, but the Scrap Melter pulls a lot more weight on its own, and for that it merits the pick over the Necropede. That is a really late Spike Shot Elder, and I'm pretty happy to see it at this point. I could also consider taking Glint Hawk, but we don't have too much to combo with it at this point. But yeah, I'm taking the Spike Shot Elder here as it's amazing value. And other cards to consider maybe are Darksteel Sentinel or Horizon Spellbomb, but there's no reason to not take the Elder here. Yeah, and maybe we'll get something back out of that pack. This pack almost has nothing for us. There's an Edge Right, which I don't really like. There is Flameborn Hellion, Soul Parry, and maybe a Nihil Spellbomb for the sideboard if we want. Assault Strobe I've never played, and I don't think I ever really, outside of like Mono Red and Constructed. I think I'll just probably take a Flameborn Hellion as a potential card to play in the deck, but I don't think it'll make the cut on what I'm trying to, based on what I'm trying to achieve with this deck. With the way things are going, we have a Flare Husk, a Nim Death Mantle, and a Skinwing for the Sunspear Shikari, which might be reasonable to take here. But at the same time, we could also take Volshock Replica, which is a 3-mana, 3-power creature, and an artifact at the same time, which is very reasonable to take as well. At the moment, we have a fair selection of 3 drops, so I kind of just want to curve out nicely with this deck. So I think taking the Sunspear Shikari here is fine. So I'm going to take that. Other cards to note is the Furnace Celebration, but I don't think our deck, that's exactly what our deck wants to do right now, and I don't want to be taking it and committing to that strategy at this point. There's nothing really here for us either. I could probably hate an Untamed Might if I want to, or take a Volshock Heartstoker, which might make the deck, because that's, you know, reasonable added damage to some effect. I don't think it would make the cut anyways, so I think I'm just better off hating the Untamed Might and not getting blown out by some Infect deck. At this point, there's nothing really I like out of this pack. I could again hate another green card with Withstand Death, or take Golden Urn. I might play Golden Urn if this deck becomes Metalcrafty, so I'll take that and we'll see. The Barb Battle Gear came back, and apparently nobody wants it, and I kind of don't want it either, but I don't want any of these cards, so I'll take the equipment. It probably will get cut. We'll see. Oxida Daredevil is probably the only pick for us here. The rest of the cards are kind of unwieldy or unplayable for us, so we'll take that. I will take the Withstand Death because I don't really like the other cards. Necrogen Sensor is not the greatest, but it's not the worst. And on to pack 3. Just going to hide some of these cards. I'm going to hide this one. Hide the Sensor. Hide the Battle Gear. This deck's not too bad right now. 18 cards with some kind of fringe cards here and there, so we'll see where it goes. This pack we got a Chrome Steed. We got a Chrome Steed. I mean, there's also a Memnite, but I'm definitely not taking a Memnite here. I've always expressed that playing Memnite in most decks usually feels like a waste of a slot, because in the long term, a 1/1 really won't pull its weight unless you have something supporting it, which is usually not the case. So I think the pick for us here is Chrome Steed. There's also a Semblance Anvil in this pack, but I found that with the amount of artifact removal in this format, Semblance Anvil is almost always a 1-for-2 against yourself, and unless you're able to make use of it right away, which shouldn't really ever happen. Yeah, I'm just going to take the Chrome Steed here, and I think I'm fine with that. Okay, so in this pack, we have a Manamir, a Mirror Galvanizer, and a Necropede as reasonable picks for us. There's also an Auriok Sunchaser, an Auriok Edgewright, a Loxodon Wayfarer in our archetype as well. It's definitely between one of the 3 artifacts at this point. Our deck looks like a little top-heavy. I really want to take the Necropede just because it's a nice value card. But at the same time, arguments can be made about taking the Iron Mirror here too, We passed a bunch of mana mirrors. I'm not sure how many more we can pick up at this point, and the fact that we want to get to 4 mana really badly, it looks like. I think taking the Iron Mirror here is fine. The Mirror Galvanizer is not that great because we don't have too many mirrors to go with it. Yeah. Actually, no, I just double checked and I realized that I have a Palladium Mirror and a Silver Mirror, so that might just be enough. I'm actually going to go with the Necropede here in that case. Hopefully be able to pick up another Mana Mirror later. We got a Chrome Steed, an Arrest, and a Snapsail Glider. I think in terms of creatures, we're doing okay, and we could probably pass on the creatures for now and take the Arrest, which is the best removal spell, one of the best removal spells for our archetype, and be happy with it. Excuse me. Okay, so we have a Bloodshot Trainee, a Life Staff, and not much else to go with here. Looking at this deck, we got a Nim Deathmantle, a Flyer Husk. I mean, I could put the Barb Battle Gear back in to pump the Trainee, but I don't think I want to go that route. If I had a Darksteel Axe, for sure I'd pick up the Trainee at this point, but one card for the Trainee, I'd probably not want to play at this point, because I don't want to have 4 mana 2/3 do nothings. The Life Staff is okay. Not sure how many equipments I want to put in my deck, but I don't think I'm playing anything else here, so I'll take the Life Staff and hopefully that pans out. That's a late Genesis Wave. It's obviously we're not taking the Genesis Wave because we can't play it, so pick comes down between a 3-drop or a 4-drop. I think Gamma's Warden is okay, but I don't really prefer to have it in my deck unless it wheels or something like that. I think Volshock Berserk or Volshock Replica is fine as a 3-mana 3-power creature. It blocks and kills Sistbearer and can do a lot of damage if it's left unharassed, so I think it's fine, and I'll take it here. And we got an Iron Mirror back. We also got a Kimba's Skyguard, but in most of the times I would take the Skyguard in this format with this sort of archetype if I picked up something like Leon's Sky Hunter in the first pack, but considering we didn't see too much in ways of flyers, I'm not that worried about passing it here, and I'd like to prioritize the mirror because I was really considering taking it before, so at this point I'm happy to take the Iron Mirror. This pack doesn't have too much for us. We got a Rusted Relic, a Strider Harness. The rest is not that great. The Strider Harness is another equipment that we have plenty of at this point, so I'm going to disregard that and take the Rusted Relic. Not sure exactly how great it is because it was a lot better in the other format where we could pick up a lot more artifacts, but it seems to be getting a little bit weaker in this sort of format. But anyways, next pack. There's almost nothing here for us. We could take a sideboard Wayfarer or Necrogen Sensor, but Panic Spellbomb's fine. It's a value card and can probably get you through some sticky combat situations as well. The Semblance Amble came back. I'm still not taking it. I'd probably take a Wayfarers for the sideboard against Infect decks. And everything else here is reasonable, I mean, but they're not for us. I could hate a Stork Rebuttal, but taking a sideboard card is better than hating, I think, so I'll take that. Infect players can play with all the black Cleave Goblins they want. I'll just keep sideboarding in my Wayfarers against those. The Heartstoker came back. So maybe there was an argument to take the Trainee, but not really sure about that. I'm going to take this Heartstoker here anyways. So nothing really here. I'll take a card that might be played, but I probably won't play it. Gobble's Warden came back as well. I'll take that. And on to deck building. So this deck actually seems pretty reasonable. It's not the greatest, but it's not the worst either. Alright, let's see what we're playing. I'm going to put the Gobble's Warden on the side for now. I think Master Call makes the cut as it makes 2 guys and gets my Chrome Steed Metalcrafted and my Rustic Relic as well. Gore Vassal. So I only have about 5 real white cards in this deck. I'm going to put the Flameborer Hellion on the side as well. Scrap Melter. Oops. Scrap Melter make that cut. This guy's on the side as well. I'll put all these red cards over here. Blister Stick Shamans are getting in. The War Driver, yeah, I think it'll probably make the cut because I want to curve well with this deck, which was my main priority. Let's see, that's going in, and Elder's going in. Definitely playing that. I'll start that and see how my Metalcraft goes. Actually, I'll put the Blade Sentinel on the side for now. No, forgot the replica. So at the moment we have exactly 23 cards with without these cards on the side here. I could see playing the Heartstoker because of the Spike Shot Elder, but we'll see how that pans out. So even though it says we have about 14 creatures here, we have 2 living weapons, a Rusted Relic, a Master's Call. So that's another 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 other creatures. We effectively have 18 creatures in this deck. We have 2 really good removal spells, a bunch of decent equipment. This is a removal spell as well. These guys are pseudo removal spells. I think this deck is pretty solid. Let's color sort this for a second. So this is about, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 artifacts. Master's Call is 2 more. So this is basically the fringe amount of artifacts that you could play for a Metalcraft deck. Playing with 1 Chrome Steed and 1 Rusted Relic that matters. I guess that's fine, especially considering their artifacts themselves. Anything on the sideboard worth noting? I'm probably not bringing in another Metalcraft card that's not an artifact by itself. The Cost Courier can stay on the sideboard. The Flameborn Hellion is a little bit heavy for this kind of deck. And I guess it comes down to a Bladed Sentinel and Heartstoker if I want them in. I'd probably sideboarded the Bladed Sentinels against a deck like Infect that I need a lot more toughness against. The Heartstoker does combo well with Spike Shot Elder, but other than that, I don't really see a need for it. So I think I'm happy with the way the deck is right now. Yeah, otherwise I don't really see anything else on the sideboard that I want. So this deck looks pretty good to me. So let's just see what Moto says in terms of lands. It says 9 and 8. I think I agree with that, because the only double white card we have is Hero of Bladehold. And we need red early for Goblin War Driver and Spike Shot Elder. Yeah, so I think I'm happy with what Moto says. Actually, now that I realize we have 3 Mana Mirrors in this deck. We might actually be able to go down to 16 lands. That being said, I think in that case I cut 1 Plains, since we only have 5 real white cards. Try and squeeze in maybe that Bladed Sentinel as a result. I'm not sure if that's exactly what. I'm going to look at my curve again. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards that cost 4. With an Iron Mirror, a Silver Mirror, and a Palladium Mirror, I might get too flooded with 17 lands. It's tough to say. I think with the way my deck plays out, I should be able to get 4 mana reasonably well most of the time. Yeah, I think that I can get a little greedy and play either this or this. I think in this case I might actually just want to play the Heartstoker because it's cheaper and not have more 4-drops in my deck. Like, although the Bladed Sentinel is fine, but I have a lot of 4s already, and something cheaper warrants the land cut as well. I think that's fine playing this guy. it's better than anything else that costs around that mana, around that much mana, like 2 or 3. I don't really want to be playing Oxid as Daredevils, so Koth Courier is also reasonable, but it also costs double red. And again, Heartstoker combos with Spike Shot Elder, so I think that's fine, and I'm gonna submit this. Yeah, we'll see where it goes, and I'll join you back here for round 1, game 1.